This is 37 Families, Season 1, Chapter 4. In this episode, we will be talking about how the passing of the portion from generation to generation manifests practically. To start out, the designation of particular offspring according to a particular archetypal role preserves within that offspring a particular set of rationalized feelings. This means that when a particular offspring is designated a particular role assignment, they possess the ability to rationalize given feelings, that is, verbalize those feelings, generating self-conscious impulses which provide a set quality of expectations for the system as a whole. In order for this to work, they must be granted a particular archetypal designation, that is, a word, which functions to facilitate the verbalization of particular feelings about the reality around them. In other words, what I have previously called archetypal consensuality is a manifestation of the recognition of that given capacity to verbalize particular feelings by members of the system as a whole. But this prevailing characteristic of the 37 families, their ability to induce archetypal assumption in members of their offspring, for recognition, by the system as a whole, operates only to perpetuate a feudal system within society as a whole. There is a contrary movement, in other words, arising out of what I have previously termed spatial non-consensuality. Spatial non-consensuality relies instead upon concealed impulses, that is, the concealment of the nature of the impulse, rather than self-consciousness associated with verbalization. In other words, concealed impulses, generated as a result of spatial non-consensuality, are not verbalized, they are negating, they do not respond to affirmatory narratives, but rather generate a synchronous pattern of system members without the corresponding social dimension. Again, spatial non-consensuality generates similar patterns, or distributions of social actors, without the corresponding verbalizations. They generate displacement of the archetypal territoriality of the 37 families through substitution and displacement. Which is to say, they acquire their territoriality by displacing the intergenerational link between archetypal designations inherent to the 37 families, carving out their own territoriality via protecting territorial privilege with respect to a particular territorial domain. In other words, the 37 families maintain control over the conjoined consensuality of the masses, which is distributed through concealed impulses preserved by spatial non-consensuality. The creation of new territorial fiefdoms amongst spatial non-consensual actors is preserved through knowledge of the basic mechanics of the system, as well as discipline, in the application of a particular pattern of behavior. Which is to say, that the 37 families' territorial fiefdoms are eroded by negation, that is, by self-denial with respect to particular patterns of behavior. That's the end of the podcast for today.